Hello and welcome back. I'm Joseph Hoffman, and in this lesson, we're going to learn how to play the right-hand part for a piece by Jean-Philippe Rameau. Rameau was a French composer and music theorist who lived with his wife and 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys, in Paris, France. He lived way back in the first half of the 18th century. That's before the United States of America became a country, about 300 years ago. He lived and composed during what we call the Baroque era of music. In fact, what we're listening to right now is an example of Baroque music composed by Rameau for harpsichord. When Rameau first started composing, the piano hadn't even been invented yet. Instead, this instrument called the harpsichord was the most popular keyboard instrument of his day. As you can see, the harpsichord often had black keys where we have white keys, and white keys where we have black keys. Well, it's kind of backward to us, but remember that the harpsichord was invented first, so Rameau would probably say it's our pianos that are backwards. The piece we're going to learn today is called Minuet in C. A minuet was a popular dance from the Baroque era with a 3/4 time signature. Let's check out the score to start learning Minuet in C. First thing I always like to check out in a score is the tempo indication. Here we have allegretto, kind of a comfortably medium fast tempo. Our treble and bass clef, and our time signature is 3/4. That top number tells us we'll have 3 beats per measure. Now let's check out the right hand part. We can see we're starting up here on this treble G, just a step above that flag F line, and finger 5 is on G. Our key signature, you can see we have no sharps or flats. And so, well, that's funny that we start on a G, but if we look at the left hand, we see that we start on a C. And here if we look at the fine, we see that we end on a C, as well as a low C in the bass clef part. So that tells us we're going to be in the key of C. C major, I should say. Now, let's check out how the notes of the right hand are moving. If you scan this first line, you'll see a lot of these 8th notes all beamed together, just a steady stream of T, 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 all the way to the last note of this first long phrase that ends with a quarter note. Now, at first it may just look like a random jumble of notes, but we always want to look for patterns in music. That will make it faster to learn and help you understand what's going on with the music. So let's look. Can you tell me the step, skip, repeat pattern of this first measure? Try to say it with me. Start, step down, step up, skip down, or down a third, step up. So let's kind of draw lines to show the shape of those notes. We have 2 step downs, then a step up, then a skip down. I'll write a 3 there to show that skip down of a third, and then another step up. Now, will you take a look at measure 2 and tell me what you notice? Can you see any patterns in relationship to measure 1? Well, to discover this pattern, let's look at the step, skips, repeats again. We have a step down, then a step up, then a skip down of a third, then a step up. Aha! Do you notice anything? Do you notice it's the exact same patterns of steps and skips? But what is different? We've started 1 note lower. Remember, in music, this is a common technique called a sequence, where we have the same pattern that repeats itself just 1 step lower, or sometimes 1 step higher. Now, let's check out the next measure. Measure 3, can you tell me the step, skips, repeats? Let's say it together. Start, skip up, step down, step down, step down, step down. Here's a new pattern. And then if we carry on from there, we have step up, step down, step down, step down, step down. Now, let's try to play this on the piano. So as we mentioned, the first note is this high treble G. Here's my middle C. We come all the way up here. Here's the flag F. We're a step above that with finger 5 on that G. So our right hand will fall into our C major pentascale. Now, I'd like you, now that you're such an advanced note reader, By this time, I'd like you to go ahead and press pause and see if you can figure out the first measure on your own. Play it 2 or 3 times to get comfortable with it, then press play and we'll try it together. Okay, what you should have played was this: G, F, E, F, D, E. Can you play that with me? And let's say the letter names out loud at that speed. Ready, go. G, F, E, F, D, E. Good. Now, looking ahead to the next measure, remember we have the same pattern, but now starting on F. We have F, step down, step up, skip down, step up. Now, press pause and work on the next measure, measure 2, on your own. Then press play and we'll try it together. Good. Now let's put these 2 measures together. Remember that this is a sequence. So we have this start, step down, step up, skip down, step up, then the same pattern again starting on F. F, step down, step up, skip down, step up. And a little faster we get. Now press pause and practice putting those 2 measures together on your own. Then press play when you're ready to go on. Looking at the next measure, we have E, skip up, and then a whole string of step downs, F, E, D, C. So all together we have E, G, F, E, D, C. Or to sing it in solfege, mi, so, fa, mi, re, do. Now you try. Good. Then in the next measure, we step back up to D, step back down to C, and then we have to keep stepping down. We're out of fingers, so what do we have to do? We're going to glide the fingers over, step down with finger 3 on B, 3, 2, 1 for B, A, G. So watch those 2 measures together. We have mi, so, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la, so. To get down to ti, la, so, step below do, just glide finger 3 over, stepping down. So now press pause and work on measures 3 and 4 on your own, then press play to go on. Good. Now, to check out line 2, remember we start off the same as before. And here it changes a little. Notice at the end of measure 7, instead of stepping down, it steps up, then skips down, and we hold for 3 beats. Since this is the part that changes a little bit, I'd like you to practice just measures 7 and 8 on your own, then press play to go on. Now, let's put lines 1 and 2 together. Here's what it should sound like. You notice at the end of line 1, I had to cross down, and then I had to shift back up for the start of line 2. Now, press pause, and I'd like you to play through lines 1 and 2 a couple of times until you're feeling comfortable with it, and then press play when you're ready to go on to the B section of the piece. Now let's check out line 3, starting here at measure 9. Can you take a look at these first couple of measures and tell me what you notice? Hopefully you notice this same pattern that we saw before. 2 step downs, then a step up, then a skip down of a third, and then a step up. And then the same pattern again, but a step lower. What's different this time, though, is that instead of starting on G above flag F, we're starting on this D. And then if you scan ahead, basically we're doing these same patterns over again, but this time with an F sharp. Then glancing down here at the left-hand part, here on the bass staff, I'm seeing all these F sharps. Now, if you see a lot of F sharps and no other accidentals of any kind, what key does that suggest we might be in? If you said G major, you're correct. F sharp could also indicate E minor, but if we look at this section, we'll see that we end on a G, and with all these F sharps, it's like the song temporarily goes into the key of G. This kind of mid-song shift into another key is called modulating. So in this section, we've modulated into the key of G major, and we'll be using these same patterns we had before in C major. Let's come to the piano to try it out. So remember, these are the same patterns as the A section, but now instead of being in the C major pentascale, we're in the G major pentascale, but same patterns. It's going to feel just like we're transposing. And when we get here, we have that F sharp, because now it's like we're in the key of G major. And F sharp is diatonic to the key of G. You'll notice if we get there and we play an F natural, doesn't quite sound right. We need that F sharp for it to sound correct. Okay, and then line 4, it's line 2 of the B section, or line 4 of the entire piece. It's going to feel just the same as the line 2 of the A section. So I'd like you to press pause and work on the B section, which is from measure 9 all the way to measure 16, at which point we hit this DC al fine, and then we'd go back and play the A section just one last time, ignoring the repeat sign. So press pause to work on the B section from measure 9 to 16, then press play to go on. Now let's talk about some practice suggestions. Now that you know all of the notes, I'd like you to be sure as you're practicing to make your eighth notes even. Okay, you have this long string of eighth notes, and those eighth notes should be played very evenly, like this. Hear how smooth and even those work? There shouldn't be eighth notes. Eighth notes shouldn't be popping out louder than other ones, and they also shouldn't sound irregular, like. Remember, this isn't jazz or swing. If we were swinging, it would be like. But swing was not invented in the Baroque era yet, and so we play them evenly, T, 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 smoothly, like you're gliding along. And listen carefully that they all sound even and smooth, very legato. Also, you'll notice a little crescendo mark here and a decrescendo mark here towards the end of the phrase. Think of these first 4 measures all as one phrase, which means one musical sentence. And in a musical sentence, there's a shape to it. Sometimes we get a little louder, and then we can get a little softer. So try to give the notes a shape so it sounds like they're expressing something. Make the notes sound alive like that. Not all the same volume, but sometimes getting a little louder, sometimes softer. Finally, be sure to use the metronome, which can also help you play very evenly. I suggest at first that you start at a slow tempo, 1 note per click. See how slow and steady that is? I'm using my 8th note for the click. Often we use the metronome to show us the quarter note beat, but when you're first learning a piece, it's okay to have the click actually stand for the 8th note. T, 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 T. That's at 120. Once you can play with no pauses and no missed notes, you can gradually speed that up until you get to, say, about 200. When you get to that point, what you can do is cut it in half to 100, and now this becomes the quarter note. So this is ta, 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 but your eighth notes will go ti, 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 ti. So I encourage you to use all of those tools, the metronome and trying to play the eighth notes as evenly as you can as you work on mastering that right-hand part. Great work learning the right-hand part for Minuet in C by Jean-Philippe Rameau. Happy practicing and see you next time. Hey, Chef. Yeah? Do you know why Rameau never went shopping? No, why? Because he was Baroque. Good one. Yeah, I'll stop laughing any minuet now.